party's just getting started, and who better to have here than the party starter? Are we still able to say from the Ottawa Redblacks, or do you want to just go for the CFL in general? Like, how are you viewing yourself right now, Adarius?
I mean, I'm a free agent. I mean, as of right now, my contract with Ottawa is not up until I think February, something like that. Whenever free agency opens, so I'm still part of the Red Blacks.
All good. I know you're wearing the hoodie still. That's why I just wanted to ask that. That's all.
Yes, sir.
That's all good. So for those of you who don't know out there, guys, Darius Pickett, former Toronto Argonaut, now former Ottawa Red Black. How are you? How are we doing today?
We doing good, man. We really doing good, recovering well, and really just excited for this part of the off season.
So yeah, just talk about that, the recovery, because obviously, look, you had this year, you were part of an upstart organization in Ottawa. There wasn't. It's been a lot of bleak years for them over the last 5, 6 years, but then now you were a part of what truly was not a special team, but like it was a very just unique situation of this team that look really rose up and established itself in the CFL.
Yeah, I think that more definitely established. I know before I got hurt, we was one of the I say probably top three teams in the league. Before I got hurt, we was 8-3-1. So we was trending definitely in the right direction. I believe after I did go down, we record didn't finish how we started, but I think it was like 1-6 ending the season after the injury that happened to me and a couple other dudes too. But we definitely, did some good things this year. It was exciting to be a part of some change, as far as that goes with the Ottawa Red Blacks, being that they hadn't been to the playoffs since 2018. I know we had broke the home record in the franchise, being 7-1-1 at home. It was really, like I said, really good.
The one thing I always notice about Ottawa too, and I want to know see how long it took you to notice this, but I feel like every time they had a home game, it was always raining, just at one part or another of the game. I don't know what it is about that, if like Mother Nature's against the Red Blacks or whatnot. It's just I always notice. I always flip the game on. It's either it's raining or it's like it's in a weather delay. It's just very that was very unique to me too this year with you guys.
It rained a lot during the season and practice as well, so it was kind of like, I'm not gonna say an advantage that it gave us at times, but we experienced that a lot during the week in practice. So it was never really surprising that it rained on game day. I was It was interesting just that it did rain, that much this year. I will say during the season, especially earlier, but it wasn't really too surprising at the same time. It's just, it's football, weather elements, man. He's just out there just kind of having fun, hitting and slide, and that's what it be.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know what? It kind of played in your guys' advantage too, with having such a good home record, having such a crowd fan base. But before, like, even on that subject, I wanted to ask you, look, Ottawa's got some dogs at receiver. There's Hardy, there's Pimpleton, Dominique Rhymes. For you yourself, and also do Jalen Acklin as well. Who is the hardest guy to guard out of those if when you were practicing on going up against them? Because, like I was saying, Justin Hardy really established himself, and then you had some other guys too just really show themselves as like true players in the CFL.
I think that they are really good in their own, ways. I think that Dom, he challenges you, of course, with his height, of course, with his ability to catch the ball across the middle. Justin Hardy really came on this year. He's really, really been good. Really, I say since he came to the CFL. To be honest, when I've been playing against him, when I was in Montreal, last year in Toronto, he's always consistent. He's a real professional guy, and you can see why he was played in the NFL. He's really a really talented football player. Some people might, talk about his age, like he's getting older, but I think with that, he's just becoming more seasoned. I think that, you look at his game, the way he's able to play and how consistent he is, he's definitely one of the top receivers in the CFL. Pimpleton, I've seen in practice, he just run past people. And he's just so, like, he really just blazing fast, like, on the field. And you see it sometimes, like, okay, that guy is fast, but it's like, it don't matter sometimes who is guarding him. He just end up behind him and you looking like, okay, that's a problem, especially with the waggle in the CFL. You
Yeah.
can give him that running head start. It's a wrap for most people a lot of times. So I'll say he's definitely a tough guard for sure as well. And Jalen Ackland, the talent that he is as well. So I mean, everybody, like I said, everybody in their own respect ways is challenging to guard. A lot of those guys just because they bring different things to the table.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that. I only got to see Ottawa a couple times in person this year. Obviously, the game week 20 when you guys were in Toronto, and then the East semifinal, which after the East semifinal, obviously, like the result didn't go in the way you guys wanted it to. Um, but I saw from Coach Dice a lot of just sense of it seems like the right guy to steer the ship, very player focused, very just wanting to get better, wanting to improve. Like, is that the vibe you got from him throughout the year? Because like I know he's put in a lot of work to get to where he's currently at.
Coach Dice is really the guy for the job in Ottawa. For me, seeing and being there when I first came in the league, I know he was a special teams coach there. I know has been invested over the years with Ottawa. But just seeing how his relationship with the players this year, and his willingness to listen to things that players have to say as well to try to make the team better. I think that was a big thing that as being a player, you like in a coach. And like I said, we had some injuries that
Yeah.
swayed the season in a different direction. I think that if those things didn't happen, we may be sitting here talking in a whole different way right now. But I think that this was the right step in the right direction, and I think that Ottawa is definitely a team to be looking at in the near future.
So I know yesterday on Twitter you posted about just wondering what makes each CFL just like different things unique about it, tailgates, fans, etc. You've obviously said you played in Montreal, you've played in Toronto, you've played at the Rose Bowl, you've played for the Redblacks. What is it about though each of those unique markets in Canada that makes everyone unique? Like, what's something that's different from Montreal to Toronto to Ottawa? Like, what's something different? Which I just realized too. You just got to go down to QEW, and then you're completed your Eastern Division. You've completed the East Division. But just back to the original question, though, what makes each unique market unique to you, to the connection with the fans and the team?
I think that the CFL is wonderful in the way that players are able to connect to the fans, and I think that that's what makes it's so it's like a community when you're looking at it, right? You get to see your favorite player, and you can talk to them.
Yeah,
A lot of times, in other places that's not always the case, and sometimes the fans are not always friendly in other ways too. It's like you kind of jokingly, even though you're on another team, it's like they got respect for you. You can feel that and see that, and you appreciate that. I appreciate that as a player, going into the different venues and different cities, and just seeing the fan bases and when they come out and the way that they come out and say they support their team. I know, like people talk down on Toronto, and the fans and stuff like that, but it's like you look at the fans that do come to the game, right? The fans they be out there, they fired up, they cheering, they loud, and they excited. They excited for their players, they excited for their team, and that's all you want as a player, whether that's the home team or you coming in as a away team, is just seeing that good energy. And that's something that I appreciate going to each and every stadium is just seeing the fans and just how they behind their team and they supporting their players. And if you one of their favorite players, they supporting you too, regardless what color jersey you got on.
yeah, because that's the one thing too. The CFL is really like a family environment in the sense of just like, look, you obviously in the league in the NFL, like it's basically if you're going in as an away fan into another stadium, there's potential for something bad to happen to you. Like, look, we don't want that to happen. It's just that's the reality of the nature. Meanwhile, CFL, there's some rivalries out there. Like, look, there's Montreal, Ottawa. I know they're starting to start one with Thanksgiving. Toronto, Hamilton, Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg. But with the CFL, it's just this whole environment and family. And even I remember like in all my times with like covering Toronto specifically, how you get exit the locker room, gate one's right there, but then there's still players out there talking to fans, even though no matter where you guys are living, you're hopping on your mini scooters to go back to Liberty Village. You still talk and chat with the fans. Like it's just that element of it with Toronto I like because you said it best. I know Toronto gets clowned on a lot for, oh, they don't draw attendance. They don't. But the people that do show up, they love and support every single guy on that roster, no matter if you're the top dog on the roster or if you're practice squad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to shift focus to Sunday because you've had a lick at both teams this year, for lack of a better word. You've played Winnipeg, you've played Toronto. You as a player, though, because I know you at your position as DB, you look at those players saying you want to strike fear into someone's eyes. You want them to know on the offense, I'm here. I'm the one you have to worry about for 60 minutes. For Winnipeg and Toronto, if you had to come up with a couple players on the spot for Sunday, you would have your eyes on as a defender to, you got to stop them to help your team on, fill the mantra of defense wins championships. Who would that be to you?
I mean, when you look at Toronto, you gotta start up front. You gotta look at Flo. You gotta look at Jake Seresna, who's had a good year. Robbie Smith is always making his mark. He don't get all the praise all the time. Holly's been playing pretty well. But the guy that I always look at, and that's my dog, Winton.
Oh yeah.
You always got to know where he is because he can blitz, he can cover, he can make plays, tackling open field. He's all around guy, and I think he's the leader of that defense for real. That hold everything together. The secondary, they been making plays. Benji, 2 pick sixes in both the East Final and the semifinal game. T-Time, he always ball around the ball. Amos been playing well this year. Mechie been playing well as well. So, I mean, I think that if I had to look at guys right now, definitely all the people up front, Wynn McManus, and then just eyes on Benji just because he got them 2 pick sixes in both them games. On Winnipeg, I'll probably look at Willie J. Willie J, man, you always got to know where he is. Willie Jefferson, and then Ford. He been stepping up this year, majorly at corner. Definitely looking to take the ball away. He had, I think, about seven interceptions this year. So them just two guys that stand out as far as that goes. Offensively, Toronto, Makai Polk, my little cousin, man, he been balling this year. Um, and then Kadeem Carey, I think this gonna be one of them games where the run game gonna be really important for Toronto to have the success that they looking for. Winnipeg, Brady Oliveira is gonna stand out, and as far as that goes, I know he up for most outstanding player this year as well. So always got to be respect for him, and then the big guy at receiver that's been showing up is Kenny Lawler. Kenny Lawler is a dog at receiver, and I think that Zach Laro's gonna have to find a way to get him the ball early and often. They're gonna have a chance to win as well.
Yeah, exactly. I want to touch on a couple players for Toronto you talked about quickly, and that's T-Time, Tavares McFadden, and Amos, just because Tavares, obviously, look, he got cut by Toronto, was with Ottawa, got cut, got back to Toronto, had the lateral pick six in the East semifinal, but then as well, I look at Deshaun Amos just because, I know T-Time's in a ball hawk, but Amos too, coming off it was so funny because I remember last year in the Calgary game, the one where the league had, you remember the one the league had the punt return?
Mm-hmm.
Seal the game. I remember Amos had a really bad ankle injury, and I'm like, oh, hopefully he's all right. And then he's in the locker room, rolling around on the little, I don't know what you guys call it, the scooter you put like
Yeah,
your
little
knee on?
scooter. Yeah, little Riley scooter. I was on that too.
I just saw him on there, but it's just so great to see guys like those true stories, like the Makai Polk story, coming up here from Mississippi State, making plays, being probably the best receiver from Labor Day onward in the CFL. Just like you get on the ball, he goes. But it's who you pressed on most. Your guy, honestly, one of my favorite guys to talk to on the team currently, but that's 48 and Wynton McManus. You have to account for him at the line of scrimmage and in the middle of the field, because if you look at the pick six Drew through, Wynton was right there open. He was right open in the flat, being like, yeah, I'm going to take this.
Yeah.
But then with Winnipeg, you have Willie Jefferson, who we know can wreck a game all on his own.
Yep.
It's Toronto. It will take a team effort. We know they're down for it. They're down for the task. But Willie Jefferson, someone that, look, Toronto's got some really big boys on the offensive line. So does Winnipeg. But I think that's going to come down to it, because I still think if Winnipeg wins it, it's going to be an air attack with Kenny Lawler. And we'll see if Nick Dembski plays, and I know he's questionable. But I do think if Toronto wins, it's going to be, slow, methodical, just dink and dunk football, 10, 15-yard out routes, nothing too crazy. But Kadeem Carey's going to have a big part in doing that. And that's the other thing, too, with the CFL that I like so much, is the fact that you get these guys who, had big aspirations. They couldn't make it down south. They come up here. You can make a life for yourself. And you know what? You get to play the game you love.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if I had to ask you right now, Toronto, Winnipeg, if you had to pick, who do you think's going to come out? Who do you think's hoisting that trophy? Who's getting the big rings coming in the springtime?
I think it's gonna be a close game. I think that the trajectory of Winnipeg, that they have ended the season well. Toronto been playing well too. I think that it's gonna be a big loss without playing with Chad. I think that's gonna hurt. But I would have to give the edge to Winnipeg, in the sense that I think this is they feel like they time. They've been going and they've been losing. I think this is the time that they go to the Grey Cup and they win.
So my thing with Winnipeg is because if you win this game, you have 3 in 5 years, but if you lose it, you've lost 3 in a row. And this is a truly legacy-defining game for Caleros and the rest of this Blue Bomber squad. It's how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as that team that went to 5 straight but only won 2? Or do you
Yeah.
want to be remembered as the team that won 3 and 5?
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing where I think that, they are thinking about it. And I think some of these dudes is coming to the end of their careers as well, and it's like this the one that they really gonna want to have, and I think the time is now for them. Because I don't think next year they bring back and have the same kind of team that they've been having the last 5 years in that organization with the same exact players, because those dudes are getting old for real.
Yeah, because like I feel like it's not so much of a last dance, like kind of the play in the name of the Jordan doc, but it's like more or less it's the light. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel for their run because all football teams go through this where they have like a 5-6 year run where you know what, you're competitive, you're winning, snap your fingers and it's all gone. But in the CFL though, the other thing I gotta say, one thing I love about the CFL is how it's such a year-to-year league. And look, how 1 year Toronto 16-2, top of the mountain, and then it all came crashing down. You obviously were part of that team, and then this year there was a lot of struggles on and off the field. To where next year you don't know what you're going to get out of these teams. But that leads me to my next question for you, Adarius. Where will the party be start? Not even where will the party be starting, but is there any teams that you have on your radar, or is it just whoever welcomes you with open arms and says, "Hey, you're our guy, you're our ball hawk in 2025"?
I mean, to be honest with you, right now, my main focus, I ain't even really been thinking about that, is I've been
All right.
thinking about foot is just really getting back right, man. It's me being able to walk with shoes on for the first time a couple days ago, man, was big for me. So it's like, that's where my mental is on a daily basis at this exact moment, just because of the season. We just ended 2 weeks ago. And then you looking at the Grey Cup is this week. Interested, I'm tuned into that. And then it's like, when I get to I'm be back in training, doing my rehab and physio and all of that. It's like once that I kind of settle into that, that's when I'll be looking at, okay, it's that time. Because I know right now we not signing, nobody signing no contracts at this very moment. I know I'm not. And it's just always you're gonna see coaching changes is happening, and you just gotta see what's the best situation for the party starter if you may see fit and see. Like I said, that'll be in the future though. It's coming soon, but just not at this very moment. I can't even tell you that.
I just had to do the job and ask. That's all. That's all. But like I was saying earlier, how you're on social media and stuff. There's one player on social media who's back in the league currently that you've been very vocal in defensive, not defensive, but in favor of. That's Brian Scott, someone who look been great to me, someone who's great to the fans too. What makes him so special as a quarterback?
I think his ability to move the ball, and you've seen it a glimpse of it earlier this season when he went 5 for 5, I think 79 yards and a touchdown, and then you don't see him no more. And then you kind of looking like, why? When you having it, this is before Chad is back. This is before anybody else is really solidifying themselves as being that guy, being that number two to Chad. It's like, why would you not give that person that just showed the ability, big play? You seen him in preseason, um, last year, this year, make big plays. And then, again, you get in the season and there's no opportunity. It's like, why is that the case? This guy is somebody that I went against him all last year in practice. He's a competitor. He wants to win. He's won down south in other leagues, and you look at just playing, the guys love him, and you always think about that, right? The players that's actually on the field playing in between the white lines. What is really going on? Because the people love him. You know what I'm saying? The fans love him. The players love him. And then it's like the guy can actually play some football. I don't back anybody that can't play. I wouldn't be sitting here talking, if the guy couldn't play. Y'all know my game, and you know how I am as a football player. I respect this game, and it's just certain things. You kind of mind-boggling. It leave scratching your head a little bit. Like, why is this person not getting an opportunity? And they've shown that they can play time and time again.
Yeah, that's just exactly it. Because I'll be honest with you, I have the video on my phone of it because I was at the preseason game when they played Hamilton, and he had that bomb to Mital, and I know Mital did a lot of the legwork on it, but that's the thing with him. He's able to get the ball out. His release is very quick. I don't know what it is. I just don't understand it. I understand the situation, but like when he was cut, I kind of knew like when it came down to choosing in the room, like Arbuckle was the veteran, and then Winnipeg it didn't stick. So I think for right now, he's just looking for a home for 2025 just to see. Look, because that's the thing with the CFL. There's a lot of quarterback situations that are in flux right now. There's only, I would say, maybe a few that are like for certain. Because even if you look at like a team like yours, for as good as Drew Brown is, like there, if someone can go in there and challenge him for camp, Scott could be the one to do it. I'm not sure what his contract situation is for 2025. It's just, I remember too, even it was the game against Montreal where he came in cleanup time just because the game was out of reach. But he's a guy that showed he can play in this league. He's a guy that can go out there and ball.
No, most definitely. And I think that's why he got the call back right when Chad went down was we know if, things go south or they go, a way we don't think, this guy's somebody that can play. He should have never really been released from Toronto, to be honest with you, in that state. Now, respect to Nick and respect to Cam Dukes, but I'm saying with B. Scott being in that position and showing what he's capable of, you seen what happened now, things go a certain way and they was quick to bring him back. The guy obviously can play some football. And then it's like, too, he didn't get, when he got released from Toronto, he didn't get picked up by, somebody that wasn't good. He getting picked up by the team that's playing in the Grey Cup. So, that just shows his talent. It just shows, to me, shows what he has done over time and is respected. I think he has a great deal of character and perseverance as well, just to continue to do the things that because he's the same guy, every day when you are in the locker room with him. And you got, like I said, that's something as a player that you respect. As a teammate, I really respected him for what he was doing. Because, again, he was getting us ready to play against, every other team. And he was a big part of, I feel like, getting us ready on defense of why we ended up going 16-2 last year. Because, some of the plays, some of the throws he was making in practice, like you watching on film, hey, we can't let this happen during the game. This might have happened in practice. But, he was doing his thing, though. Like I said, I got a lot of respect for anybody that's put in that situation that's consistently being the same person and being the same teammate despite not being on the field all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Because the bonds that you guys build at Lamport Stadium aren't really shown on game days that well. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying in the way of you guys are around. Because at the end of the day, out of any sport in the world, football is one of the ones where it's one of one in the sense of it's a true brotherhood. You know what?
Yeah.
They say there's a reason why they say you got to go to battle. You know what? You got to be there for the guy in front of you. You got to be there for the guy behind you. That's just the nature of the beast.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap up today, just want to give the people a second look. If they want to get to know you more on a personal level, if they want to see your everyday life, now's the chance for you to plug your social medias. I know, like I said, I know you're very well known. It's just like, look, I do this for every new guest that comes on just to say, hey, where they can find this person on social media. So Adarius, if you want to get the party started with you on Twitter, X, Instagram, whatever you are, where can they find you?
My Instagram, Pick6 Pickett, that's Pick, the number 6, Pickett. That was Instagram. Twitter is Pick, the number 6, Pickett. And that's where you really find me at. Tap in. As you see, I respond on social media. So I respond on Twitter. Instagram a little different just because some of the messages I don't really be seeing until, later. No disrespect to anybody. I try to respond, though, when I can. But Twitter, though, holla at me because I'll be on there.
And we love to see it. And I gotta say, I appreciate your time today because I know you and I have been looking to do some talking just because you and I, we've been doing the same thing. You and I on Twitter back and forth, and now here we are talking on a podcast.
Hey, they happen just like that.
Just like that. But anyway, guys, a bit more of a shorter episode, but it was great to be joined by Pick6 Pickett, Adarius Pickett, the party starter. Episode 327 of YWC Football Talks in the bag. For Darius Pickett, I'm Griff. Have a good night.